The next thing that I want to dive into is really about how do you get a job in a pandemic, right? When things are so uncertain. And you did, and I've coached a lot of people during this past year on the same types of situations. I've helped some people land jobs. So I'm curious as to your thoughts. How do you get a job during a time like this?
So I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I did mostly, rather than talking, I just tried to listen, just try to hear what was going on, understand what was happening in the marketplace, where things were shifting, knowing, where people were having success. And it was mid-July, and I saw my now current boss post something on LinkedIn about how they had the best month yet uh, in the company's history in June. And I commented, and I was like, great, congrats on the great success. Sent him a connection request. He accepted, and then I kind of took a deep dive into what they were doing. I'm like, if their best month was June of this year, they got to be doing something right. So I looked into what the company did, and they were helping local businesses and different people maintain their online reputation. Well, in an environment where you cannot be in person, your online reputation is everything. So I was like, aha, like this is clearly why this guy had the best month ever, because they're helping fill a void that people didn't really pay attention to. So I sent him a note on LinkedIn. I said, hey, I appreciate you connecting. If you have the manpower and time, you should really deploy some of your team to the hotel world. They really need your help right now. You can help them stand back up because they're not really paying attention to what your business is helping solve. And he responded the next morning and said, it's interesting you should say that. I actually did a research thing for Marriott, sent it to all of their C-level people, never heard back from them. He's like, would love to connect and see if there's some synergies. So we just started the conversation, and he was growing rapidly. He's insanely humble and very strategic on how he's growing and being smart with managing his business. And so we just kind of crawled before we walked before we ran. And then last November, December, it was pretty clear that I was going to be joining the team. It was just a matter of if not when. So I was very grateful to find that opportunity. But also, you sent somebody to me in, I guess, what was it, August? A friend of yours, and said, hey, you should connect with this guy, share some insights on the hospitality industry. We had a great conversation, just an awesome human. And I commented on a recruiter's post that they had on LinkedIn, hey, you should check out this guy. He would be great for this position. Guess who got that position?
I love it.
So, I mean, like, there's lots of different ways you can do it. And it comes back to that whole social thing and relationships, because, could I have done the job that I referred this other guy to? Absolutely. But I didn't want to move. Like, were there jobs in Orlando in the hotel industry that I could have done? Yeah, but like, I was ready for something new to kind of challenge myself. And I've kind of felt that fiduciary responsibility to help all of my teammates that I told that I was going to bust my ass off to get back to work. And I knew that if I took a job at like one hotel, that wasn't going to make the impact that I needed to have. And so whenever I had the conversations with Matt at Widewail, I was like, this is it. Like, this is, and there were times throughout the process where I got insanely frustrated, because it was like, he's being patient, he's growing his business, and he's like, be patient with me. If you can be patient with me, things are going to work out. And it was probably mid-October where I was just like, this isn't going to happen. And my buddy John reached out and had his marketing. He was going to pay his marketing team to make a promo video about me, and he was going to send it out to his entire network. And I was like, you don't have to do that. He's like, no. He's like, I want to. He's like, I appreciate the value you've added to, me, and I want to give back. So I'm, all right, that's insanely awesome. Thank you. So I connected with his marketing team, and he's like, have you looked at anything? And I started telling him about this opportunity with Widewail. And he goes, dude, I'm not making a video. He goes, you got to just go all in on this. He's like, this is like what you need to do. And I was like, really? He's like, absolutely. He's like, the runway for this company and the areas that you can fill in the gaps for them in the hotel world, because the management companies, you know the ownerships, you know how the directors of sales and general managers think. He's like, it's like a perfect, like, symbiotic time for you to join them. And I was like, all right. So I took this random guy's advice and just went all in, and it worked out. So it's just interesting how everything all plays out whenever you put it out there. And I think that's the one thing that for anybody who may or be furloughed or stuck in something that they don't like and they just feel like they can't find the next opportunity because of the current environment, be vulnerable, ask for help. I think humans as a whole, and we have this innate sense where we want to kind of help each other out. And so the more you put yourself out there and the more vulnerable you are, and just say, listen, like, I don't know where I'm going, but I could use your advice. And that's the conversation that you and I had this past July. It wasn't about, hey, I want to come work for you. It was like, I don't know what I want to do. And so we had just had a great conversation, man to man, like, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm seeing. And it was just great. And so, like, I think that's the one, like, key takeaway I'm taking away from this whole thing is, the social aspect of selling is so important. And the thing that's exciting for me is now I'm getting to work with some, like, BDR reps that are just fresh out of college, and they are just hungry. And it's so much fun. And, like, to get to, like, have some in-depth conversations about, like, I mean, like, because you can't train somebody the desire to want to pick up the phone and call 60 people.
Right.
But when you have somebody in front of you that literally wakes up like clockwork and just gets after it, it's amazing. And so to get to kind of help groom them and help them grow in their sales career is so exciting, because I was there, 10, 15 years ago, and now I'm at, like, a different cycle in the process. But that's the excitement for me, is, like, there's been so many people who have, like, reached out with a helping hand, and I hope that anybody who sees this, reach out. I'm happy to help. I don't know how I can help, but let's have a conversation. Like, I'm happy to help any way I can.
Yeah, no, I love that, Justin. It's a people game. And, even the best part about social and, like, social selling and finding people on LinkedIn, it isn't that you can message them and that you can, post and things like that. It's that you can truly connect with them and open the door to a relationship that might not have existed otherwise. What you do with that is completely up to you. I've been really fortunate over the last several months because I felt like I was in a good spot. I was very fortunate because my business was more in need than ever before. But because of that, I proactively looked for people that were, hashtag open to work, and people that were posting on LinkedIn that they were still looking after some time, or people in my network that I knew were looking for something. And, common themes that I would try to tell them: first off, go where the need is. Look what you did. You went to and gravitated toward a business that was doing well, doing the best that they've ever been, because of a valid need that exists because of the current state of affairs. The other thing I always tell people too: you want to get paid, follow the zeros. Look for things that are paying out that have the most zeros behind them. That's something that one of my friends told me years ago when I was looking to make a career pivot. And also, when you're down or when you're in ambiguous times, use that time to be very reflective. Journal. I was keeping track of different things that, milestones. And, I wrote a book during the time that I was out of work. I was striking out left and right, going the old fashioned ways, just applying on job boards and things like that, completely striking out. And I thought my resume was pretty strong. But so does everybody else, right? I mean, you're up against, your odds are 1 in 1,000 if 1,000 people apply to a job, unless you do something to shore up those odds. And that's where you shore up those odds, is by doing the types of things that you're doing. I mean, this is a person that made a post, you celebrated it, you tried to connect. And